Welcome to the Writing in Your Jammies podcast. I'm your host, Jeannie Hall, and I'm pursuing my dream of writing in my jammies for a living. By discussing some of the spiritual teachings that have put me on the road to success, I hope to inspire you to feel better, live happier, and pursue your own dreams. Join me. Hi, and welcome to this first introductory broadcast on my Writing in Your Jammies show. I'm so glad you're here. Today I will be discussing 5 ways to overcome your fear. And I gotta say, even doing something like this, which is my first attempt at podcasting, it's a little scary, but that's okay. Sometimes you just gotta jump in and give it the old college try. See what happens, and you'll never know if you don't try. So that's what I'm doing. So that's what my number 1 is. Take the first step. The journey, it can be hundreds and hundreds of miles, but it starts with that first step. And like Martin Luther King says, the journey of 1,000 steps starts with that first step. So just remember that you can do it. It may seem overwhelming. It may seem like you can't, but, just taking that first tiny little step, that's always possible. That's never overwhelming. You can always just take that first step, and that'll start you out on your road. I'm personally in the middle of a big spiritual transformation, and that's part of why I started my new website, writinginyourjammies.com. It's also why I've written 4 books in the self-help genre about spiritualism and becoming a better version of you. I've turned over a new spiritual leaf myself. I've lost 40 pounds and I'm losing more. I'm right in the middle of, so I've changed physically, I've transformed myself that way emotionally, the way I look at things, my mindset overall. And what started that was reading and watching a little documentary on Netflix called The Secret. It actually came out, I think, in like 2007, somewhere in that time period, maybe 2006, but somewhere in that time period, a lady named Rhonda Byrnes, who's from Australia, did this documentary that she created and got all these famous people together who were everything from financial analysts to spiritual healers, and all sorts of authors, different people, even metaphysicians and all sorts of stuff, got together and shared their view of this really actually ancient teaching called the law of attraction, which is kind of like the law of gravity. It's just something that's there, but it's not something our senses are aware of, so we don't always realize that it's there. But once you're made aware of it and you realize that that's what is happening around you, and that is what the truth of the world is. It might sound kind of cheesy and corny, but that really is the secret to life in a lot of ways, is that what you send out and what you think about and feel really does create your own world and your own universe. And when I learned that, that's what started me on this path. And I've changed so much in my life in a very positive way in just a couple of years. And am I in the middle of the journey? Yes. Have I succeeded at getting everything I've ever dreamed of? No. But can I see it coming? Yes. And that hope and that faith and that trust in the universe has really propelled me to see my world differently and not feel like I'm trapped anymore and not feel like I'm desperate and miserable anymore. You can change every single aspect of your life. And watching The Secret and seeing all these people who, and almost all of them had come from everything from, some of them had been drug users and even drug dealers, some of them had been homeless, some of them had gone bankrupt, some of them had been abused, all sorts of, some kind of horrendous abuse sometimes, all sorts of things. And a lot of people have that in their past. I'd say most people even have something like that, if not all of us have something like that in their past, So if they can do it, I realized, what? I can do it too. I didn't even come from that kind of background myself. Some of those different things. I never used drugs and that kind of thing personally, but whatever, everybody's got their stuff, and you can come back from it and become better than ever, because this human experience that we're having is not all there is to life. That is what we can see, but there's so much more to the world and to the truth of life than that. And so I'm a person who's always felt like there was more, even if I couldn't see it. Even ever since I was a little kid, I knew different. I just felt like God was with me, or angels, or the universe, or whatever, guardian angels, whatever you want to call it. I always felt like there was something else that we couldn't see that was there. And maybe you felt that and maybe you don't, but I would just say have an open mind and, watch The Secret and see what it does, if you haven't already. Check it out. And it's not the end all be all. It doesn't answer all the questions and stuff like that. I've had to explore and research and do more work on that to really kind of unearth my own personal belief. And I'm going along. As I go along, I'm learning more, finding more and more teachers. And in a future broadcast, I will share some of the specific teachers and books and videos and podcasts and websites and different things that have helped me along the way. But that's just taking that first step into, even if it's the unknown, even if you can't see, the end of the tunnel or the end of the journey, that's part of it. The journey is what life is. It's not the destination, it's the journey. So that is what I recommend. Just take that first step in a positive direction, and you can't really go too wrong with that. My second point in overcoming your fear and just in general in life is to visualize yourself succeeding. And basically that's just using your imagination to dream up this wonderful, wonderful world and experience of everything going your way. Think of every aspect of your life. Think of your love life. Think of finding that special person, the one that would make you blissfully happy, your soulmate, whatever that is to you, whoever that might be. Imagine that person, whether you've met him or not, that could just change your world and make it for the better. Maybe you've already met that person. Maybe that person's already your loved one. And you just imagine that life being richer and better all the time. You can do that. Even if your relationship is struggling, but you still feel like they are very special to you and you love them, you can turn that around. The more you change, yourself in a positive direction and love yourself, the more love you'll be able to give to others. So visualize that. Visualize success in whatever, whether it's your body you want to change, which is something I'm personally changing. Maybe it's your financial situation. You want more prosperity and success and abundance. A lot of us want that. I raise my hand when I say that. Absolutely. And you can have it. There's nothing in this world that you can't have. Just know that. The more you know that and believe it and feel it, the more it'll become your truth. And part of that visualization and part of that feeling your truth and making it into reality is being quiet with yourself, having quiet time that's just you, whether that's sitting and meditating, closing your eyes and just letting the quiet around you surround you and try and clear your thoughts and listen to your heartbeat and focus on your breath, inhales and exhales, whether it's something like that or whether it's walking in nature, just something where you're pulling yourself out of the noise of this world. This world is so noisy and there's so much stuff going on, whether it's different technology or whatever, or just news that goes on in the background, or, people that are noisy, or maybe if you live in a city, there's traffic noises and a lot of us have to go to work and commute and be in that situation, sometimes stressful. If we can turn off or even just turn down the noise and focus inwardly on yourself, you realize really all the answers are there. But a lot of us don't do that. We're not quiet. We don't go inward, and we end up listening to the noise and we get caught up in that. We get stressed out by it. You really can relieve a lot of your stress just by turning off all the noise, turn off all the technology. and just go inward and be with yourself. My next step, number 3, is to have faith. Now, I know that word can sometimes scare people, but what I'm talking about is just whatever higher power, other being you might possibly believe in. It doesn't even matter what name you give it. I personally call it God, but some people, have had negative experiences with that. Whatever you want to call it, the universe, the cosmic beyond, the source, the creative source, angels, my higher self, the higher power, whatever. It doesn't even matter what you call it. Just having faith that there is an entity outside of yourself that loves you unconditionally and 100% at all times, no matter what is happening in your life. Because the less you feel alone, the more likely it is that you can overcome whatever fears are coming at you at that moment. And this world, unfortunately, is full of fear. We fear the unknown, and there's so many unknowns out there. And spirituality is part of that. We don't know some of this stuff, or we think we don't, or we don't remember that we already know it. There's lots of different ways to look at it. But the truth of the matter is, we do know more than we think we do. And if you do start kind of reaching outside the traditional belief system or whatever, maybe you were brought up in a religious type of situation, but you left because it didn't feel true to you, it didn't feel good. Maybe it was really something that condemned everyone and pointed fingers, or maybe you never had any kind of belief system in your life. Whatever your situation is, just see, especially when you're quiet with yourself, what feels the most real to you. It will come. The answers will come at that point. Something else I can recommend in the realm of faith is there's this wonderful book that was recommended to me by two other my beloved teachers that I've had along the way, and it's called A Course in Miracles. And I will have a link to that in the show notes, and I'll put a picture down there too. That is just this wonderful resource, and it's got such a unique story. I'll put some more about that in the show notes, but it was actually created and written by people who originally were kind of agnostic, didn't even have a specific belief, and yet all this knowledge and wisdom came to them. So there's lots of good stuff in that. So just there's lots of resources out there if you look. Especially in this day and age, we are very blessed, and I'm so grateful to be living now, because everything we could ever dream of is at our fingertips. The online world, the resources that we have available, we don't have to go to a library and search through heavy, dusty books and look in little tiny, that may not even be in our language. We can literally go online, type in a search engine, type in a question, and things will pop up. It's amazing. So it really is a miracle. So use that resource and find out what you can. The next thing is to have trust. Trust in that higher being and trust in yourself. The more you get to know yourself, that inner self, that higher self that you have inside of you, that is the spirit, that person is eternal. This human kind of husk, this body that we have, the meat suit as they call it in The Secret, that's not really who we are. It's who we are now in this human existence, in this realm, but it's not really the whole 100% of the truth. And most of us believe there's something before life or after life, and that's really what the truth is. I've personally come to discover and always have believed that. But if you go deeper into that, you learn we are eternal beings. We always have been and ever shall be, kind of thing. This human body won't be, but we are much more than that. So the more you come to trust in that, and trust in that higher self and that higher power as well, that they always have your back, you are infinitely supported, as my friend Kelly Cooper would say. She is awesome, and I'll mention her in a later episode as well. But that's basically, if you can have trust in that higher power, that there are always answers, and no matter what comes your way, good things are coming, especially as you send out more positivity. That's what will change for you. You will get more positivity back. And the last but not least is to believe If you've ever watched The Secret, the basic components of the law of attraction are ask, believe, and receive. And we're all about the receiving, and asking is easy for most of us. We'll even beg. Some of us have begged, God, please take this pain away from me, or whatever it is. Really, what we need to do is, focus on what we really want, not what we don't want. Believe it, and then it will come into our life. I can't tell you when. That'll be whenever you are more aligned with what your truth actually is, when it'll come. But I have seen and manifested many things in my life by doing this very thing. And I'm not going to lie to you, belief is the hardest part. Believing whenever your eyes are telling you something else is difficult, but you can do it. And that spiritual part of yourself, that is where your power is. And the more you believe in that, and the more you have trust and faith in that, the more beautiful manifestations you will see, and the more your life will change for the better. Okay, I'm going to finish the podcast now. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you return. There'll be more episodes, so check those out, and thanks again. Bye-bye. I truly appreciate you taking time out of your day to listen to this podcast. You can learn more about the topics discussed on this show and any episode on my website, writinginyourjammies.com, and on my Amazon author page, keyword Jeannie Hall. Remember that you are worthy of all good things. You are pure love, light, and energy. Thanks again.